Hello, this is Morel Bernard with the continuation of the story of Nirvana, meditation, knowledge, wisdom. Nirvana, meditation, knowledge, wisdom. The story of Siddhartha. I wonder how he's getting on. And by the way, please subscribe. Please share these videos. Please. I appreciate it. And so, last words was something about a thinking of Om, a submergence and complete entering into Om, into the nameless, the perfected. What a wonderful sleep had this been. Never before by sleep he had been thus refreshed, thus renewed, thus rejuvenated. Perhaps he had really died, had drowned and was reborn in a new body. But now he knew himself. He knew his hands and his feet, knew the place where he lay, knew this self in his chest, this Siddhartha, the eccentric, the weird one. But this Siddhartha was nevertheless transformed, was renewed, was strangely well rested, strangely awake, joyous and curious. Siddhartha straightened up. Then he saw a person sitting opposite to him, an unknown man, a monk in a yellow robe with a shaven head, sitting in the position of pondering. He observed the man, who had neither hair on his head nor a beard, and he had not observed him for long when he recognized this monk as Govinda, the friend of his youth. Govinda, who had taken his refuge with the exalted Buddha. Govinda had aged, he too, but still his face bore the same features, expressed zeal, faithfulness, searching, timidness. But when Govinda now, sensing his gaze, opened his eyes and looked at him, Siddhartha saw that Govinda did not recognize him. Govinda was happy to find him awake. Apparently, he had been sitting here for a long time and been waiting for him to wake up, though he did not know him. "I have been sleeping," said Siddhartha. "However did you get here?" "You have been sleeping," answered Govinda. "It is not good to be sleeping in such places where snakes often are and the animals of the forest have their parts. I, sir, am a follower of the exalted Gautama, the Buddha, the Sakyamuni, and have been on a pilgrimage together with several of us on this path, when I saw you lying and sleeping in a place where it is dangerous to sleep. Therefore I sought to wake you up, sir. And since I saw that your sleep was very deep, I stayed behind from my group and sat with you. And then, so it seems, I have fallen asleep myself, I who wanted to guard your sleep. Badly I have served you. Tiredness has overwhelmed me. But now that you're awake, let me go to catch up with my brothers." "I thank you, Samana, for watching out over my sleep," spoke Siddhartha. "You're friendly, you followers of the Exalted One. Now you may go then." "I'm going, sir. May you, sir, always be in good health." "I thank you, Samana." Govinda made the gesture of a salutation and said, "Farewell." "Farewell, Govinda," said Siddhartha. The monk stopped. "Permit me to ask, sir, from where do you know my name?" Now Siddhartha smiled. "I know you, O Govinda, from your father's hut, and from the school of the Brahmins, and from the offerings, and from our walk to the Samanas, and from that hour when you took your refuge with the Exalted One in the grove at Jetavana." "You're Siddhartha?" Govinda exclaimed loudly. Now, now I recognize in you, and don't comprehend any more how I couldn't recognize you right away. Be welcome, Siddhartha. My joy is great to see you again. It also gives me joy to see you again. You've been the guard of my sleep again. I thank you for this, though I wouldn't have required any guard. Where are you going to, oh friend? I'm going nowhere. We monks are always travelling. Whenever it is not the rainy season, we always move from one place to another, live according to the rules of the teachings passed on to us, accept alms, move on. It is always like this. But you, Siddhartha, where are you going to? With me, too, friend. It is as it is with you. I'm going nowhere. I'm just travelling. I'm on a pilgrimage. Govinda spoke. You're saying you're on a pilgrimage, and I believe in you. But forgive me, O Siddhartha, you do not look like a pilgrim. You're wearing a rich man's garments. You're wearing the shoes of a distinguished gentleman, and your hair with the fragrance of perfume is not a pilgrim's hair, not the hair of a samana. Right, so, my dear, you have observed well. Your keen eyes see everything. But I haven't said to you that I was a samana. I said I'm on a pilgrimage, and so it is. I'm on a pilgrimage. You're on a pilgrimage, said Govinda. But few would go on a pilgrimage in such clothes, few in such shoes, few with such hair. Never I have met such a pilgrim, being a pilgrim myself for many years. I believe you, my dear Govinda, but now today you've met a pilgrim just like this, wearing such clothes, such shoes, such garment. Remember, my dear, not eternal is the world of appearances, not eternal. Anything but eternal are our garments and the style of our hair, and our hair and bodies themselves. I'm wearing a rich man's clothes. You've seen this quite right. I'm wearing them because I have been a rich man. And I'm wearing my hair like the worldly and lustful people, for I have been one of them. And now, Siddhartha, what are you now? I don't know it. I don't know it just like you. I'm travelling. I was a rich man and am no rich man anymore. And what I'll be tomorrow, I don't know. You've lost your riches? I've lost them, or they me. They somehow happen to slip away from me. The wheel of physical manifestations is turning quickly, Govinda. Where is Siddhartha, the Brahman? Where is Siddhartha, the Samana? Where is Siddhartha, the rich man? Non-eternal things change quickly, Govinda. You know it. Govinda looked at the friend of his youth for a long time, with doubt in his eyes. After that he gave him the salutation which one would use on a gentleman, and went on his way. With a smiling face, Siddhartha watched him leave. He loved him still, this faithful man, this fearful man. And how could he not have loved everybody and everything in this moment, in the glorious hour after his wonderful sleep filled with the enchantment which had happened inside of him in his sleep, and by the means of was this very thing, that he loved everything, that he was full of joyful love for everything he saw. And it was this very thing, so it seemed to him now, which had been his sickness before, that he was not able to love anybody or anything. With a smiling face, Siddhartha watched the leaving monk. The sleep had strengthened him much, but hunger gave him much pain, for by now he had not eaten for 2 days. And the times were long past when he had been tough against hunger. With sadness, and yet also with a smile, he thought of that time. In those days, so he remembered, he had boasted of 3 kings to Kamala, had been able to do 3 noble and undefeatable feats: fasting, waiting, thinking. These had been his possessions, his power and strength, his solid staff. In the busy, laborious years of his youth, he had learned these 3 feats, nothing else. And now they had abandoned him. None of them was his any more, neither fasting, nor waiting, nor thinking. For the most wretched things he had given them up, for what fades most quickly, for sensual lust, for the good life, for riches. His life had indeed been strange, and now, so it seemed, now he had really become a childlike person. Siddhartha thought about his situation. Thinking was hard on him. He did not really feel like it, but he forced himself. Now, he thought, since all these most easily perishing things have slipped from me again, now I'm standing here under the sun again, just as I had been standing here, a little child. Nothing is mine. I have no abilities. There is nothing I could bring about. I have learned nothing. How wondrous is this! Now that I'm no longer young, that my hair is already half grey, that my strength is fading, now I'm starting again at the beginning and as a child. Again, he had to smile. Yes, his fate had been strange. Things were going downhill with him, and now he was again facing the world, void and naked and stupid. But he could not feel sad about this. No, he even felt a great urge to laugh about himself, to laugh about this strange, foolish world. Things are going downhill with you, he said to himself, and laughed about it. And as he was saying it, he happened to glance at the river, and he also saw the river going downhill, always moving on downhill, and singing and being happy through it all. He liked this well. Kindly he smiled at the river. Was this not the river in which he had intended to drown himself in past times, 100 years ago, or had he dreamed this? Wondrous indeed was my life, so he thought. Wondrous detours it has taken. As a boy, I had only to do with gods and offerings. As a youth, I had only to do with asceticism, with thinking and meditation, was searching for Brahman, worshipped the eternal in the Atman. But as a young man, I followed the penitents, lived in the forest, suffered of heat and frost, learned to hunger, taught my body to become dead. Wonderfully soon afterwards, insight came towards me in the form of the great Buddha's teachings. I felt the knowledge of the oneness of the world circling in me like my own blood. But I also had to leave Buddha and the great knowledge. I went and learned the art of love with Kamala, learned trading with Kamaswami, piled up money, wasted money, learned to love my stomach, learned to please my senses. I had to spend many years losing my spirit, to unlearn thinking again, to forget the oneness. Isn't it just as if I had turned slowly and on a long detour from a man into a child, from a thinker into a childlike person? And yet, this path has been very good, and yet the bird in my chest has not died. But what a path has this been? I had to pass through so much stupidity, through so much vice, through so many errors, through so much disgust and disappointments and woe, just to become a child again and to be able to start over. But it was right so. My heart says yes to it. My eyes smile to it. I've had to experience despair. I've had to sink down to the most foolish one of all thoughts, to the thought of suicide, in order to be able to experience divine grace. Oh, here on again, to be able to sleep properly and awake properly again. I had to become a fool, to find Atman in me again. I had to sin to be able to live again. Where else might my path lead me to? It is foolish, this path. It moves in loops. Perhaps it is going around in a circle. Let it go as it likes. I want to take it. Wonderfully, he felt joy rolling like waves in his chest. Wherever from, he asked his heart, where from did you get this happiness? Might it come from that long, good sleep which has done me so good? Or from the word Om, which I said? Or from the fact that I have escaped, that I have completely fled, that I'm finally free again and am standing like a child under the sky? Oh, how good is it to have fled, to have become free. How clean and beautiful is the air here. How good to breathe. There, where I ran away from, there everything smelled of ointments, of spices, of wine, of excess, of sloth. How did I hate this world of the rich, of those who revel in fine food, of the gamblers? How did I hate myself for staying in this terrible world for so long? How did I hate myself, have deprived, poisoned, tortured myself, had made myself old and evil? No, never again I will, as I used to, like doing so much, delude myself into thinking that Siddhartha was wise. But this one thing I have done well. This I like. This I must praise. That there is now an end to that hatred against myself, to that foolish and dreary life. I praise you, Siddhartha, after so many years of foolishness. You have once again had an idea, have done something, have heard the bird in your chest singing, and have followed it. Thus he praised himself, found joy in himself, listened curiously to his stomach, which was rumbling with hunger. He had now, so he felt, in these recent times and days, completely tasted and spit out, devoured up to the point of desperation and death, a piece of suffering, a piece of misery. Like this, it was good. For much longer, he could have stayed with Kamaswami, made money, wasted money, filled his stomach, and let his soul die of thirst. For much longer, he could have lived in this soft well opposed with hell. If this had not happened, the moment of complete hopelessness and despair, that most extreme moment when he hung over the rushing waters and was ready to destroy himself, that he had felt this despair, this deep disgust, and that he had not succumbed to it, that the bird, the joyful source and voice in him was still alive after all. This was why he felt joy. This was why he laughed. This was why his face was smiling brightly under his hair, which had turned grey. It is good, he thought, to get a taste of everything for oneself which one needs to know. That lust for the world and riches do not belong to the good things I have already learned as a child. I have known it for a long time, but I have experienced only now. And now I know it. Don't just know it in my memory, but in my eyes, in my heart, in my stomach. Good for me. to know this. For a long time, he pondered his transformation, listened to the bird as it sang for joy. Had not this bird died in him? Had he not felt its death? No, something else from within him had died. Something which already for a long time had yearned to die. Was it not this what he used to intend to kill in his ardent years as a penitent? Was this not his self, his small, frightened and proud self? He had wrestled with it for so many years, which had defeated him again and again, which was back again after every killing, prohibited joy, felt fear. Was it not this which today had finally come to its death, here in the forest, by this lovely river? Was it not due to this death that he was now like a child, full of trust, so without fear, so full of joy? So full of joy. Please, join me in the next video of the story of Siddhartha, Nirvana, meditation, knowledge, wisdom. Join me in the next video. Join me in the next video. Me, Morel Bernard. Join me in the next video. See you then.